What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy, and I'm going to be going over the defensive prospects today. I already did an offensive prospect video a couple weeks ago. I kind of took a little bit more time on this because there are so many guys to talk about. There's a few pages of edges, to say the least, and it's a lot of fun. It's a very good class in the way of there is depth, there is styles, there are different kinds of players. Like each team is going to have that flavor, find their player, especially at the edge, defensive line positions. The linebacker class is pretty good. So, let's just get into it. I can break them all down like I did last time. So if y'all didn't see my other video yet, I'm going to talk about basically everybody that I watched and give just kind of a quick little view on them. This isn't a rankings video or anything like that. So I'm going to give a little view on everybody, and then we will have stock up players for each position, guys that have just, kind of vaulted themselves into first rounds or even just like came out of nowhere. And we'll talk about those guys individually. But starting it off, we're going to talk about the edge class. And the edge class, like I said, is really deep. These are the younger players. They're at juniors and redshirt sophomores. And these are guys that probably could go back to school or should go back to school to improve their stock in any which way. But starting off, it's Boubacar Traore out of Notre Dame. I don't think he should come out this year. I think that, he is a really solid pass rusher, but I think there's some things he needs to refine in his game, and he just doesn't really jump off the screen yet. But if he came back to school, there's a lot of edges in this class, like I said. So if he comes back to school, he gets an opportunity to possibly even jump all the way into the first round because he has that type of athleticism and talent. He just doesn't show it at the high enough level consistently that you might want, like some of the other guys. And so that's why I think he should go back to school. Next guy is Damon Wilson Jr., a guy that I really, really like out of Missouri. He's actually top 20 for me, which is really good if you didn't know in this class. But he's one of those guys that I just see such an improvement with opportunities. Great pass rusher. He's physically built, but he needs to improve. His teammate Zion Young, who we'll talk about in a little bit, he's a little bit more physically gifted in like the power aspect. And I think that if Damon Wilson goes back to school, I think he could improve his stock, and possibly be a first rounder. I think he's actually closer to the first round than Boubacar in next year's class. So I really like him. But I just don't think he should come out yet. The next guy is John Henry Daly out of Utah. Stats look great. Like you just look at his stats. I mean, he's one of the highest. He's got one of the top 5 sack leaders. He's got a 22% pass rush win rate, 91.2 pass rush grade overall. Issue is that he's not that athletic, in my opinion, and there's just so many athletes in this class that we're going to be talking about, guys that maybe don't produce as well, but they are just so athletic that's like I'm going to bet on those tools a little more. John Henry will probably go back to school in general to Utah. So I would say, let him have another year and see if he can find a way into that next year's class. But I think truly I wouldn't see him getting into the day 2 range anytime soon. The next one is Keldrick Falk. Now, a lot of people have Keldrick Falk top 10. I loved Keldrick Falk coming into the year because I thought that he would put it together as a pass rusher, using that talent that he already has as just an athlete in general. But then I was like, okay, well, if he can, just go and find ways to get to the quarterback, that will even make him that much more important. Problem is, he's kind of one of those guys that's production. Athleticism versus over projection right here. And so I kind of dropped him a little bit out of lower down the rankings. While some people saw him top 10, I probably have him in the top 20 range. Not as good of a class overall, so he's still going to be sitting pretty high. But I'm not as excited about him if he can't get to the quarterback. Only an 11% pass rush win rate overall. I'd like to see that come up. I just don't know that I can pick him in the top 10 if he doesn't have that. But floor-wise, he's just insane. I mean, run defense he is such a insane football player when it comes to run defense. Could be a defensive tackle even. 3-4 defensive end is kind of where I look at him. But I think that there's some limitations because he hasn't put it together as a pass rusher yet. The next guy is Mateo Uiagalelei out of Oregon. This is the perfect player, in my opinion, to come back. He doesn't have to deal with this class. He's only 20 years old. So obviously there's a lot of room for improvement, and he has the areas of improvement. So I think he needs to improve his strength overall. I think he needs to improve as a pass rusher in like the Arsenal way, but he did have one of his best games against USC this last weekend. So he is obviously very, very big for the position, 270, 6'5", 270. Like, there's some things I just wish he did a little bit better, but coming back to school would really help him with that. Quincy Rhodes out of Arkansas, not my favorite tape, but I do understand the potential behind him. I mean, the potential is insane with this guy. Another guy that should come back and be a first rounder next season, possibly. Big, freakish athlete, really good against the run, flashes of pass rush ability, but just inconsistent overall is the problem. And of course, playing for Arkansas, it's a little hard to get your name out there. But I think that if you just like talk about this guy as like, wow, he's got the, the talent, the athleticism, those things. I just don't see the production on film yet because he's just not consistent. But when he goes as a pass rusher, there are times I'm like, wow, like this is a legit like top 10 guy on some plays. But then in the other plays, I'm like, this guy is undrafted free agent. So I want to see him just be more consistent in general. After that, you have Ruben Bain Jr. He was one of the big stock up candidates. I didn't put him on there, but he's just been in freaking insane. The man's unblockable. That's what they kind of say. Basically everyone's number one player, and it's warranted. No one can stop him. He has all the power, and at his height, because he's only 6'3", 270, he has the leverage also, and he's very powerful in his lower half. We're seeing his freshman year tape basically again from when he was a freshman. His sophomore year, he wasn't as good because he had a lower body injury, and now as a junior, he's just been insane. But at the same time, I don't see him as this generational prospect that I think some people do. He's not Myles Garrett. He's not Nick Bosa. Like, there are some limitations, I think, overall. And I think if you take him in the top 5, you're going to need a lot out of him. And currently, he does not have the sack production. He doesn't have the things, but he is a disruptor. I'm not going to get, there's no way I'm going to run around that. He is one of the most disruptive players in football. I just have a hard time taking him top 5 overall, but this is a down class and he probably fits top 5. Next guy is TJ Parker. I guess this would be considered a stock down candidate. Could return to school because of it. Still like his explosiveness, but I was lower on him already coming into the season. I did not see the top 5 talent that they were talking about, but Clemson has looked terrible, and that does hurt him. He is not helping that though. So that's kind of my big thing with him. With so many good pass rushers in the class, I have him much lower on our board, even past like edge 8, 7, 8. And so I just think he needs to possibly come back to school and improve. But there's definitely ways to do that. I don't think that, I don't think he's out of the contention for 2020, 7 top 5. But right now, I just can't see him being top 5 this year. Top, maybe first round, into the first round, but even into the second round, in my opinion. Let's go over to the red shirt juniors. All right. That was the first rodeo there. Redshirt Juniors, Anto Saka out of Northwestern. Really like his tape, actually. I thought he looks really good. He could be a situational pass rusher at the next level. Needs to kind of develop size and athleticism-esque to be a 3-down player. But I think he's one of the best pass rushers in this class. And if you're going to be taking a guy, mid to like day 3 guy here, I think you're going to get a guy that can, help you on third down, getting after the quarterback. Some of the situational pass rushers that we're going to talk about in a minute, you're taking them in the first, second round. And that makes me a little bit more scared because I need run defense. This is more of a guy that you put in a room with really good edges, and he just comes on the field and gets after the quarterback. So I do really like him. Next up is Cleve Lubin, one of the stock-up candidates, one of the most consistent players in college football. In 2024, he had a 90.3 grade with 10 sacks. 2025, he's had a 91.3 grade. He's a 20-plus percent pass rush win rate over the last 2 years. It's just high motor, solid pass rusher. He really did a number on Blake Miller, who was the dark horse for this for the podcast. And then of course Blake had, it's still a football game. We play a lot of game. But one of the plays when he was pass rushing him, I mean, he just made him look silly. So Cleve Lubin, guy with a high motor, could be a stock up candidate, third rounder esque type of guy. Anthony Smith, another stock up candidate because he has just been playing lights out in the last like 3 or 4 games. Massive player, jumps off the screen, 6'6", 285, just huge dude. Needs to improve as a pass rusher, of course, but I mean, he had his best game against Nebraska, and it was 2.5 sacks and 2.5 tackles for loss and a beatdown. This is the type of guy that, can come in and play right away because of the fact that he has 3 down talent. In the way of, first and second down, he will help you stop the run. He doesn't have the elite athleticism. He moves a little slow, but I do think there's a lot of good that comes with like the issues that you might see. His floor is probably one of my favorites, where you're going to get him in the draft right now. Next up, got the edges for the senior class. Whew, this is only one of 2 pages. There's 2 pages on these guys. Starting off with Akeem Mesidor out of Miami, opposite Ruben Bain, some of the best tape in the class, mostly because of the age. He is 25 years old. He will be 25 years old before the draft actually happens. Currently the oldest player in the draft. And tape matters, but he is literally a man among boys. Like when you just talk about like he is a grown man out there. He looks it at times, but he has been playing really good. So can't down him there. He would be one of the most pro ready guys, I guess, in the class if he started today. So yeah. Next up, you have Anthony Lucas out of USC, another really big edge. Like there's just so many big edges in this class, but there's also we're gonna have our outside linebackers here in a minute. I'm going to be lower on him because I see the upside, but he's a senior and just hasn't put it all together. Only two sacks through his whole career, and that comes with like a sub 15 pass rush run rate. Don't think he's as strong as he should be for his size. Like there's a lot of issues I see with him. I think he's a late, undrafted free agent or a late day 3 guy. Next up is Caden Curry. Ohio State just keeps reloading, man. They're so good. We're going to talk about a lot of freaking edges for Ohio State today. Currently overlooked. Won't get the buzz till he makes makes big plays in the college football playoff, of course, because that's how it works. Both of above average against the run and the pass, in my personal opinion. But he does have limitations because he's not the greatest athlete in the world. But he does get away with it because he has great hand usage in his pass rushes and things like that. Willing to play anywhere on the D line, a gap to stand up. Like there's a lot of fun things you can do with Caden Curry. So I don't think he's a bad player. He's probably a rotational piece, but we do enjoy good rotational pieces from Ohio State. Next up is Deni Dennis Sutton. I think he's being disrespected a little bit. I know that a lot of people think, oh, he's just not. He doesn't have the bend, and he doesn't have, but if you watch him play, he plays hard constantly, and every time you watch Penn State play, he makes plays. I think that his size helps him play multiple positions from 4 high to outside, and I think that he is a player that is getting overlooked a little bit. Now, he probably in the NFL won't be the sack production guy, but he's going to be one of those guys that I think just can play for a really long time in the NFL and helps a team out. And that sometimes is more important than trying to pay for a pass rusher for, Micah just made an insane amount of money. So you're going to get guys like this that are just like really consistent and they're going to play well. I would take a shot on Deni Dennis Sutton, especially even in the second round. Next up is David Bailey. He could have been the stock-up candidate. I get it. He is insane as a pass rusher. The issue is I just can't figure out what to do with him because he does not have the same love to stop the run. So, and he's not the best athlete in the world, in my personal opinion. I know like he looks like it, but he just falls off of blockers. I don't know how he does it, honestly, when it becomes the pass rush. But then like he plays the run, and it's like he's a completely different player. Don't think that he has NFL strength to play against the run either. So he's very system dependent. You can't just draft him to any team, in my opinion. The problem is if he is just a situational pass rusher at the next level, I cannot take him in the top 15. And that, like, I just can't. I don't know what to, like, how much more to say on that. Like, if he is a situational pass rusher, I cannot take him in the top 15 because I need him to be able to get after stop the run also and not be a liability on the field. The next guy, Derek Moore. Really like Derek Moore. Strong, physical, and athletic. Moore is a serious climber. He might end up top 50. We're going to be putting out a big board soon. Moore is a serious climber, though. Got to be, gotten better throughout the season, gotten better throughout his career. He's a senior, like we said. Could be a guy that finds the way into the late first conversation if he continues doing this, but there are just so many edges. It's going to be really hard to get all the way up there, but I really like Derek Moore. He's a second rounder, minimum in my eyes. Eric O'Neal out of Rutgers. He was the dark horse originally, along with Joshua Josephs. And so, we'll talk about Joshua Josephs in a second. But he has not let me down. He has let me down truly. Not as dominant as after the transfer as I was hoping. Still solid, but showing more holes. Pass rush upside isn't really there. he's athletic, but not athletic enough to like when he was playing at JMU, he was athletic enough to get after it. Now I think that the level of competition is kind of showing its way. Not really a special trait that he just has, but I think he is a rotational piece in a defense that can play interior or exterior on the defensive line and just kind of give you a little bit of juice because I do think he has a high motor in those things, which I really like to see always. But yeah, next guy is Gabe Yakis from Illinois. I love this guy, and I was wrong in the summer. I'm honest. I will say when I was wrong, but he is built strong. One of my personal biggest risers this season, just because I think I had him lower because I didn't see the upside. And this year I just see like this new animal. He's got a relentless motor. That's his strongest trait. He gets after the quarterback because of the motor, not because of the hand usage and bend. So I think that needs to improve, but I really like him as a run stopper. And I think he can play multiple defenses. Like he's just a really fun guy to watch, and I think he should be higher on boards, and he will as we go on. Jayshon Barham out of Michigan moved from the linebacker spot, but I love his upside at edge. I think the best decision he made was moving. Has things to improve, strength and counters, but that's just because he hasn't done it. I think we just like guys that are always around the ball, and this is one of them. Could go earlier than expected if he is considered, into a 3-4 defense. Someone might really like his upside, like his motor, and we just like I said, we like seeing guys that are just around the ball, and he does that. Joshua Josephs out of Tennessee is the dark horse. Has not disappointed. Insane athlete with pass rush ability. Has improved the run stopping. What most people were worried about, like with him, was he just couldn't stop the run, and he just doesn't have that issue anymore. I think he's currently to edge 5 for us, and I just think that is such a testament to. Of course, I'm higher on him because I had him as their dark horse, so that's natural. But I just like his style of play. I like how he gets after it. I think he's a 3-4 outside linebacker, but he can play the run a lot better than a guy like David Bailey, which is why I actually have him one spot above David Bailey on our rankings, and it's going to stay that way. The next one is Kenyatta Jackson, and let me change the screen. My bad, guys. Out of Ohio State, another Ohio State edge. Like I said, another big-bodied edge with upside. He's had some insane games recently. He is going to be moving up boards. You're going to hear this name a little bit more, especially because this team is a team that will probably make it to the championship and things like that. You're going to see him a lot. He hasn't developed necessarily as a pass rusher yet. I think that there's a lot that he has, but he uses his size, his physical ability to get after the pass. And so this may make his stock go up or down depending on how people see him as a pass rusher. I would expect him to be, top 70 on big boards, and I think he even has a chance to push that even more if he continues putting together games like he has been. But he has so many opportunities like right now, and I think he's kind of one of those canvases that's kind of blank where he can draw whatever he wants around it. He can either go up or he can go down, just depending on how they view him at the end of the day. Next up is LT Overton out of Alabama. Almost puts left tackle. He. How do I put this? He is a defensive tackle that is super athletic, and that's why he plays edge. So I almost put him as a D tackle, and I didn't because I'm like, okay, well, he doesn't play there. I mean, most people are going to think of him as an edge. So we're just going to talk about him like this, but I'm not nearly as high on him as consensus. I actually don't know that I have him in my top 75 because he has an 11% pass return rate. And if he is a defensive tackle, I don't know that he has insane upside. If you just put him at a DT and you're just like, hey, go pass rush, sure, he's probably going to beat guards. But the biggest issue is like he has no production, and there's so many other guys that are having production, and I just can't understand the hype, and then also just disregard the floor because I think the floor is super low while maybe the ceiling is insanely high. I just can't come around to that because there's no production on the screen. Next up is going to be Max Wellen out of Iowa. Pass rush specialist only, insane moveset, just as a pass rusher, strong counters and versatile to rush from anywhere. Played more full-time this season, but has issues in the run game. I mean, he is definitely going to get killed by run blocking, and that's the issue with him. I can't get behind a guy that can't stop the run. especially when he's not. I mean, he is a really good pass rusher, don't get me wrong, but he is not necessarily the best pass rusher by any means in this class. And if you're going to be that bad at run defense, you better be really, really good at pass rush. So that's my biggest thing with him. And then Mikhail Kamara, a guy that goes overlooked. There's some teams out there, and we're going to talk about, all Indiana players, they should be on the Rams because the Rams just make the most out of their players, just like Indiana does. Mikhail Kamara is that guy. Relentless motor, high IQ, always around the ball, and someone that, someone has to be good on that Indiana defense, and he's one of the best. And don't because they get overlooked so often. Finally, I think there's a little bit of love for some of their players. We're going to talk about a couple of them, but sack production is down, but he has a 19 plus pass rush win rate. And so I just think this guy deserves some love, and he's not getting it. So I'm going to give it to him. Next guy is Patrick Payton, ex-Florida State player. And if y'all know I'm a Florida State fan, Patrick Payton is very frustrating because I think, you watch him, you look at him physically, you're just like, wow, this guy could be so good. And then he has an 9% pass rush win rate. And it's like, oh, massive on the field, just massive, dude. He uses his physical ability well at times, but he just doesn't go. He doesn't give that effort that I want to see. And so I can't get behind him just for those reasons. He was our dark horse 2 years ago, and I can't expect him to, continue not producing and then still back him as a football player. Next one is R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma. I think I was wrong on him overall, but I still don't think he goes first round. I think there's some people that think he's just, the best thing, and I'm probably going to have him 50 to 75 on our big board because there's just so many edges with more upside. He's got a ton of like relentless pressure. One of the best first steps in the class. He's going to have your, right at 20% pass return rate, sub 20% pass return rate. Size is an issue though, and overall play strength is lacking. So I think he gets beat up in the run game. I think that some of the more athletic tackles will be fine against him. So I kind of worry about him. He's not my favorite guy in the world by any means. But I do think that is some upside because of that relentless pressure and size and leverage and things like that I think he does give you. Next guy is Romello Heights. I think he's one of the biggest stock up candidates for sure. David Bailey plus Romello Heights has been one of the best or if not the best pass rush duo in football. Heights' film was actually almost better than Bailey's in my opinion, but we're talking about a guy that's older. And he's a graduate, so he's even a year older than some of these guys. And smaller overall player, which doesn't always mean that he can't do it, but it might just mean that he cannot be on the field on run plays. He might have to be a situational pass rusher. He's from the 2020 class, which is the same class as Will Anderson and Bijan and Bryce Young. So he's much older, as I was kind of alluding to, but he just kind of scares me. And the most of all the big movers, like he scares me the most of all the guys that are like, hey, that guy's top 50. I'm like, but is he? Because he's got all these other question marks. And I think all of the players in this class have question marks. Romello Heights scare me more than some of the other ones, if that makes sense. Next up is going to be Tyreek Sapp. I love Tyreek Sapp, man. He just brings so much to the table as a run-stopping edge or run-stopping defensive tackle. He gets after it. He doesn't offer that much as a pass rusher, but I think you draft this guy based on his floor as a run defender, and you just be happy because you're like, hey, look, he's not going to be a star, but he is going to play really hard for you, and he's going to get you off the field on first and second down and let your pass rushers come in and get after it. He's a really good football player, and I think that he's kind of a guy that I want in my locker room and things like that. So I like Tyreek Sapp a lot. Next up is Vincent Anthony out of Duke. He's a very long, athletic, very long, big, tall edge. Not as athletic as some of the other guys. I think that, he doesn't possess the elite traits that you want. He does get after the quarterback at times if you watch some of his games, but I don't think he possesses the elite traits that you want. And that's why I kind of shy away from him as being like, until you get into day 3, you're not going to be taking this guy. But he has some upside as a pass rusher. I don't know that he even gets drafted. So as a unrestricted free agent, he might, shock some people, but not in a bad way. I just don't know that I'm as high on him. Zion Young, stock up candidate, got to be. Zion Young plus Damon Wilson isn't far behind Bailey and Heights. Best part about him is how he gets off of blockers in the run game. I think Zion Young gets after it in the run game, and that makes me so excited. I actually don't know how I'm going to keep him out of the top 50. He added pass rush this season, which is kind of completely unlocked this new ceiling that I didn't know he had prior. 17.8% pass rush win rate, 5 sacks. He's just consistently getting after the quarterback. Uses the strength to put offensive tackles just in the lap of the quarterback. Even if he's not winning, he's going to push the pocket and make the quarterback uncomfortable. So it's just Zion Young is a legit problem in the league, or going to be a legit problem in the league. Next up, we're going to talk about our edge stock up highlights. That was just edges, guys. So we're going to get through this, I promise. Catches Howell, Texas A&M, 6'2", 248. That's the biggest worry. Shorter arms, things like that. But who cares when you're just getting after the quarterback in the ways he does? 13 tackles for loss, 11.5 sacks, 21.8% pass rush win rate. Just look, this guy is just legit. Still capable as a run defender. I think that he loses a little bit, but he has the leverage because of the height and stuff like that. So I don't think that, strength isn't really the huge issue, but he probably ends up as a stand-up outside linebacker. And doesn't always win with hand usage, rather he just dips, it bends and explodes. And I love that. He can use his hands, but that is really where it comes in. So obviously, Catches Howell is a really great stock-up candidate. He might be edge 2 in this class. If you don't include Mr. Arvell Reese as an edge, but I do. And I think you have to, because that's what he's going to play at the next level. He plays off-ball currently. Let's be honest, for an edge, he's not getting drafted as an off-ball in the top 5. But Reese is, just going to be doing some insane things. I mean, look, pick anything you're like, that is so important to me. Power, strength, speed, bend, whatever. He has it all. Strength and power, just different, uncanny. He'll throw offensive linemen. I mean, he'll just chunk them, both in the pass and run game. He threw Drew Shelton to make a tackle for loss, and then he dipped underneath Drew Shelton and made a sack. So, look, this dude is undeniable talent. He's number 1 on our big board as a prospect, not just as a, player. And because he is just so freakish, athletic, untapped potential, all the things. And I want him to move to edge and be just a freakish edge for a long time in the league. He is so awesome. But yeah, so going to the next one, we're going to go to the defensive lineman. So first up is CJ Fide out of Arizona State. Arizona State's kind of falling apart right now, if y'all know anything about the landscape of college football. But some of the worst grades, for PFF, and I thought that was interesting. He basically does not rush the passer. He's like a sub 2% pass rush win rate, which is just insanely terrible. Right now, he is just a run stopper, and he is not my favorite run stopper in the class even. I hope he goes back to school. I think he can, elevate himself. But yeah, it's not looking pretty for him in my personal opinion, because I just don't think he has any extra intangibles to offer. Now, next guy, Caden McDonald, sorry. Just the gut. He's the gut, tough guy to move off the line because he's just so heavy. Insane run defender. He's got like 13% run stop rate, 91.5 grade in that, like, might be the best run defender in the class. Weirdly, always around the ball. I don't know how that works out when you're, of course you play nose and you're in the middle of the field, but like he is, chasing the ball down. First and second down warrior. And those are my favorite guys. I don't know if y'all know that. But not everybody can be Aaron Donald. Actually, no one can be Aaron Donald, because Aaron Donald is 101. And we are trying to find the next Aaron Donald. Let me tell y'all something. Get a run defender. Get someone that can stop the run. Because you want to get off the field, you need to put them behind the chains. This is the type of guy that does that. Not going to do as much as a pass rusher, but Ohio State, they have their touchdown wall, and it's because of a guy like McDonald who does not allow them to get in. And he's a lock for the top 50. I think he might be locked top 35. And I just really like this guy. I think he's, floor-wise, just awesome. Peter Woods, he is still a top 10 player, even if Clemson is bad. He is not like TJ Parker. He did not fall. He is way up there. I think seeing him at defensive tackle was good. I think really good extension and shed, high motor, athletically built. And of course, because he played edge, he can do the pass rush stuff that you really want. He just moves like an edge, but has the size and strength of a defensive tackle. And there's just very few people that are like that. This is very Quinnen Williams-esque, if you ask me. Think he uses finesse too often. I think he should just get after it and, beat up on an offensive lineman. The SMU game was not a good look for him, but I think he improved his pass rush with his first step and things like that. I actually really like Peter Woods. I think he's a top 5 player in this class. Next up, Bear Alexander out of Oregon. I like Bear. I do. I like Bear. And liking Bear does not mean that he is a first rounder or second rounder or even top 100. I just think, a guy that could do some really good things at the next level. But he's probably just a rotational piece. But I love rotational pieces. I think you need depth always. And he'll be cheaper than some of your just premier guys, but he's still going to be doing really good things. He's very physical with his hands and his feet, just coming at you. Probably will be best in a defense that moves their defensive line a lot. I think that that's something that he does well, stunting and shifting and slanting and stuff like that. Really good first step. He needs to improve his functional strength, but like the reason I don't, and it's also hard to see because Oregon does move their defensive line a lot. Next up is Christian Miller, explosive hands. I mean, he's just the brick wall. Players hit him and he doesn't move, and the strength in the run game, it just frees up all the linebackers. I just like, as Christian Miller's the best friend to a linebacker, and I think now the issues, if we're going to talk about issues, he doesn't have upside as an athlete necessarily, in my opinion. His lateral quickness issues, foot speed, but honestly, that's okay because we love defensive tackles that stop the run. And, if you want a guy that doesn't stop the run that well, but has that freakish upside and could end up being, I guess, the archetype of a guy like a pass rusher like Aaron Donald, it's Mateen Ogba out of Wake Forest. This guy has the same insane athletic upside, truly, like I was saying. Really good first step, best suited for a defense that likes to move, like I said, but he just, he blows up the plays quickly because he's more athletic than the guard in front of him or the center in front of him, and when he shifts, they just can't keep up. He's got quick hands, reaction and stuff. He does really well. When they throw their hands, he reacts really well. And he is some of the best overall plays at the position. So you're just going to be betting on upside with this guy because he also has some of the worst plays at the position. But there's a lot of good. Next up, we're going to talk about the seniors. There's a lot of them. I'm telling you, we're moving. Aaron Graves, Iowa, dark horse, being absolutely disrespected. What are we doing with Aaron Graves, man? This guy is awesome. Has team awards for effort. Get your lunch pail and go to work guy. Relentless motor, solid as a pass rusher. Played, one of the best games of the season versus Minnesota. He had 2 sacks as a interior defensive lineman. Just get after it. Solid against the run. And just so everybody knows, like if you're talking about athleticism and things for these guys, like if you don't really understand how athletically gifted these guys are, Aaron Graves currently holds his high school record for basketball points scored over a career. So yeah, he's absolute stud. Not sure why he's being overlooked. I think he ends up as a top 100 player on our board, but he should not be overlooked. Next up is Albert Regis out of A&M. For the size, I like how active he moves. He is built like a tree stump, literally. And that is crazy to move that well for a tree stump, basically. And he does the things you would expect. He stops the run. He gets leverage because he has the leverage based on the height. He has more athleticism than I expected because I watched a lot of A&M games and I didn't exactly think he popped off the screen. But then I rewatched him and just watched him as just as his position, and he just does a lot of good things as an athlete. He's not a great pass rusher, but I think that those things can improve because he does have that burst and that athletic build, which is crazy for his size. I mean, go look at him. He looks nothing like an athlete to me. Surprised I liked him this much, honestly. That's kind of what my synopsis was at the end of the day. Next up is going to be Caleb Banks out of Florida. Caleb Banks, he hasn't really done anything for his scouting to change. The issue is I wanted to see him play because I wanted to see him clean up all the issues that he had prior. The athletic upside is there. He has, Chris Jones upside. And so that's not the problem. It's more so, I just wanted to see him become more consistent and clean up all those plays. He's 6'6", 330. Like he's got the size and length, all those things that you want to see. But I just thought, hey, like get him another year and it would be perfect to get, some of those things that, people as a community are seeing issues with. Daryl Jackson out of Florida State. He sure does look the part, man. Oh man, as a Florida State fan, he should be killing it. 6'5", 337, long arms, insane upside player. Now, it's just so many issues with standing too tall, hand placement, missing, all kinds of stuff, and then effort on top of that. So Florida State, man. Currently just tries to use his size and forgets about all technique, basically, is how I look at him. Being a redshirt junior, being a senior, I think he maybe just this guy. I don't know that he's going to change his ways, basically. He just gets his ass whooped by guys that shouldn't whoop him. And that's kind of my problem with him. He always loses the leverage battle, but he doesn't try to keep it because he stands up, like I said. There's a lot of issues. I want Daryl Jackson to be good because I want Florida State to be good, but that's just not in the cards, in my opinion. He's obviously a good football player. I mean, he's getting drafted, but I just mean I wish he did those things, those little things all the time. And I'm obviously, harder on him because of it. But what are you gonna do? Next up is David Oki out of Arkansas. Through 3 games, he had a 0.0% pass return rate. That is on 30 pass rush snaps. Now, a lot of people really liked him coming into the year. I just really wasn't high on him in the summer, and he hasn't played enough snaps for me to know. So he's kind of just a wait and see. It's really hard. I want to see him at the Senior Bowl and things like that. Dominic Orange, big citrus out of Iowa State, wide load. Yeah, definitely wide load, man. He holds his weight differently than some of the other guys in this class. He's got a pretty athletic lower body, but he's still got the gut. Think he should. I think he takes some plays off, but I just think they need to rotate more in general. In Iowa State, get him some break and then come back in. It just kind of it will put him behind those constant movers. Needs to work on his first step overall, I think. But he does have an 8.6 pass return rate for a nose tackle, and that's pretty good overall. Has to do it with athleticism and, in the pass rush and things like that because he doesn't have a ton of moves or anything. I don't think he's been taught anything when it comes to hand usage and things like that in the pass rush. So I think if he could improve that way, that'd be great. Blockers kind of just fall off of him, though. It's kind of funny. They just kind of see you later. His shirt's really tight and you can't grab a hold and they just fall on the ground. I wasn't as high on him as some of the other people coming to the season. Some had him even top 3 defensive lineman, but I think I am trending up while others are trending down on him because we're kind of trying to meet in the middle here. I was kind of had him in like the maybe low 100s, and some people had him in like the 40s, and now we're kind of going to both be in the 70s. So, yeah, he's a good player. He really is. He's a good player. Next up is Dante Corleone, the Godfather, another wide load nose tackle. He's kind of a funny build if you all go watch him. He's a little older, not going to offer much as a pass rusher. He doesn't have the elite athleticism, not going to wow you on any of his metrics, truly. He's a slow mover. But he is all about strength and girth. Can't be moved, takes on doubles and really and down blocks really well. He might have 4 tackles on the whole year, but it won't matter because you're like, hey, but he took on 3 guys on blocks and we ran free and people made plays. This perfect day 3 guy, rotational piece that can stop the run. Better floor than ceiling, but I really like him actually, and I didn't expect to love his upside when it comes to the fact that he has no athleticism, really. He's really low athletic overall compared to some of these other guys on the list. Grayson Halton out of Oklahoma, smaller but athletic 3-tech. I worry that he isn't big enough, strong enough for the NFL. He needs to add weight, but hold. Needs to add weight, but hold on to athleticism, basically. Solid first step, doesn't always use his hands, stands too tall. OU stunts him a lot, so I think that I wish he played a little bit more technique, but he might not be able to because of his size. Upside as a pass rusher, especially in his stunts, has a good effect against single blocks, and he's somewhat twitchy, which is a fun thing for a defensive lineman. I worry about the size, like I said, though, and style of play. I just not as low on him as some of the other people, maybe because I think that there are situational, like interior pass rushers like this guy that could play. Next up is Lee Hunter, just a big, awkward dude. Still takes too many plays off that he did in the summer. I think that he has obviously trended up, but it's not like it's a free or easy eval on him either. He just doesn't, he stands too tall and he's never on balance, and it pisses me off. I like his ability to get off the ball, though, and the whole Texas Tech team does a good job of that. And honestly, he's above average against both the run and the pass, and he should push to be in the top 100 range. But I think there are so many things that I dislike that I might not have him there. I think the people will, though. Rashawn Benny out of Michigan is an athletic build, frame length, strength, movement skills. Stands too tall, though. Doesn't really have a ton of getting off unless moving, if that makes sense. Like he's not going to throw offensive linemen as much as I want him to. He's not going to get them off of him. They get their hands on and they stay on. But when he does, get moving, he gets good hand extension and he can run through those blocks. This is a deep D line class, in my opinion, and Benny is another one of those late day 2, early day 3 guys that I think can be a rotational piece. Skylar Gill Howard, I wish he wouldn't have got hurt because he was one of my favorite guys prior to that injury. Quick, twitchy pass rush menace, just throws people, Euro steps, 13.3% pass rush win rate, like good stuff. 88.6 pass rush grade. Balance to explosion is just awesome. Strength for size, he could hold his own with anybody. Tossed the guard from Houston a couple of times. He uses his leverage well at 6'1", but he's only 280. So I wish he wouldn't have got injured. I think that I wanted to see him at the Senior Bowl against some of those other guys. And he think he could have ended up being day 2, but now it's going to be like, okay, well, he's probably going to slip a little bit. Next up is Tim Keenan. Missed the first 4 weeks of the year. I like Tim Keenan over the summer, but I think there's obviously situational issues with him. Been talked about as one of the biggest followers at the position. His MO is to be a beast against the run, plays first and second down, no pass rush. He is a tree stump. That's a picture of him right there, and that's actually how tall he is. I honestly think people are going to be a little bit too harsh on him. Anchor is still one of the best in the class. Frame is just so tough to move. I always say I love defensive tackles, no tackles that are going to stop the run and get on third down, and this is one of those guys. Now, I have to drop him a little bit. The floor is there, overall, but I think the concerns spur from the injury, and hopefully they make the college football playoff and he gets a chance to show up on the biggest stage and show that he's still one of those guys. So a lot of question marks with him overall. Zane Durant from Penn State. Durant was a top 50 player on most big boards. I didn't see it. He lacks size and overall twitch. He's 6'1", 287. I needed him to be in a very, very good pass rusher, basically, and he has a 6.6 pass rush win rate. That's capped, to say the least. He has shown that he is capped this season because if you look at the grades against good teams, Iowa 43, Ohio State 48.8, and Oregon 57.9. I just don't think he can play against legit offensive linemen. Logan Jones, and I love Logan Jones. If y'all know, he's our dark horse for the interior offensive line. He whooped his ass, and it was awesome to watch. So next up is going to be our stock up candidate. It is Amari Washington out of Oregon. This dude, maybe even a guy that I have higher than, he's climbing, of course, because he was a name that we didn't know. I might have him even higher because, like I said, and I keep saying it, you get guys that can stop the run and get to third down. And this is a guy that not only can do that, but also I think he has a little bit more juice as pass rusher. Look, when you put a guy, so if you watched the Indiana game, he's the one that sacked the quarterback with the guard. And there's only been 2 guys that I've done this for that I've really been like, oh, wow, that was so dominant how they put the offensive lineman and used him to sack players. Well, how about this? Jared Verse sacked a player against Florida with their offensive tackle. And guess now Jared Verse is one of the best edge rushers in the league. I can't get over it. I'm not going to miss twice, and so give me Amari Washington in the top 20. That's how I feel about him. Let's go over to the linebackers. Oh, man, we're moving. Let's go. 43 minutes already. Dang. All right. First up is Anthony Hill out of Texas. Fast flow linebacker. Sometimes too fast and sticks his head in too early. You're drafting the athlete. How many people can stick this quick can move this quick at this size? Like he's just moving. He brings the boom. Speed helps him not miss tackles, which is funny because he gets there before they turn their heads, before they leave the hole, things like that. He's at 5%. He really has a good base when he comes and makes tackles. 5% missed tackle rate. He's always square. I mean, he really thinks about how he's going to tackle. Inconsistencies with decision making is the biggest issue. He just doesn't have that like read and react comfortability yet. A lot of people are pushing him down, but guys, we need to remind ourselves that you pick good football players and put them on the team. And Anthony Hill is that. He's a top 32 player. Stop dropping him down your boards. He's a first rounder. So there's that. Austin Romaine out of Kansas State, down season compared to last year. Already it wasn't overly high on him because I just don't love Mike linebackers. Like I like off-ball linebackers that can play Mike because their athleticism translates. Carson Schwessinger from last year. Big on him. Look at what he's doing. In that case, you better be a really good tackler if you are a Mike linebacker. 21.1% missed tackle rate, 19 total so far this year. Can't get excited about that. He's a good read and react player, but he's just slow overall. And I just can't get behind just Mike linebackers that can't tackle and can't play, tight end to tight end. That's all you need to do basically, and then you drop into the hook, and that's it. And he just has a hard time with that right now. So I wish he did a little bit better. And technically, I'm right on par where I thought he was before the season started. Next up, CJ Allen out of Georgia. Look, CJ Allen was considered by some to be the linebacker 1 or 2. He's not that, but he is extremely good at football. Watching him, I love how he flies around the field. This is a middle linebacker that should be an off-ball linebacker that just plays with plus athleticism. Brings the boom, good tackler, 6.3% missed tackle rate. If you want to be a middle linebacker, this is what you need to look like, right? Don't think he's very versatile as a rusher or rusher or in coverage. Ole Miss took advantage of him in coverage as a coverage player. So there are some issues, but obviously you have sub packages for that. Get this guy on your team is what I'm saying. I think he's a legit player. I think this is a super high floor middle linebacker that will play a long time. Think others still have more upside that we'll talk about in a second. Drake Bowen out of Notre Dame, add him to the big middle linebacker conversation. I think he has a little bit more athleticism than say an Austin Romaine, but quickness, has some really good go plays. I love go plays. That means you just take off and you're going to go make the play wherever it's at. I want to see that more often though. Physicality is going to be the big thing for the guys that play in the A gap. They have to be able to take on guards and things like that. And of course, you have to be able to tackle. Well, he has a 15% missed tackle rate, so that's got to be better. Bowen is a solid linebacker added to a really deep linebacker class, in my opinion. Torian York, love this guy. Love him. Don't care how big he is. Don't care. Size is an issue, sure. Whatever. 5'10", 220, sure. Doesn't matter. One of the most intelligent linebackers on the list. Read and react becomes it's just all based in prep. Like, he knows what it's going to happen. Full sideline to sideline speed, just super explosive. Texas Tech is undefeated, and York is one of the biggest reasons. He will have some issues at times with, having to stick his face in the middle of the play, but like against guards and stuff, but he can do it all in coverage. He can do it all sideline to sideline. This is a true off-ball linebacker. Kind of reminds me of how people were off on Nick Bolton because he was too short and too small. Like, look at what he's doing now. So that's where I'm at. Whit Weeks out of LSU. An injury plagued season. Hasn't really looked like the player we expect to come into the season. He has an 18.2% missed tackle rate. He is one of the more athletic of the middle linebacker types. He's going to be strong against the run, sticks his hose in there. He's going to give you effort. So I actually like Witt, but I wish he would tackle better. What the heck is wrong with these white linebackers not tackling better? He does lack a little bit of the athleticism against the pass. Like, he is picked on a little bit, but I do think that I like his charisma, I guess, is how I put it. The Weeks brothers and how they get going. I really like that, and I think he can give that energy to a team at the next level. Okay, his teammate. There it is. His teammate, Harold Perkins out of LSU, one of the most interesting players in this class, torn ACL in 2024, expected to be one of the top linebackers in the class last year. It's all about speed with this guy. Speed on rushing from depth, sideline to sideline, processing speed mentally. The other things he possesses is versatility. He rushes well, inside linebacker to outside linebacker. Plays the star now for LSU. He can basically do anything you ask, and I'm way higher on him than I think the consensus is. Some people are like, well, he's a top 250 player. And I'm like, what? Like, this is a guy we're talking about the top 10, 10 to 20 players in the class last year. And now he's just fallen off the face of the planet. I'm like, no, this guy's really good at football. And I think I would take him in the third, fourth round. I don't think you need to take him that early. I think you could probably take him in the fourth or fifth round, but just to put that out there. Next up is Isaiah Jones out of Indiana. One of two Indiana players in this class at the linebacker spot. Probably going to go back to school. I think he should. He's not necessarily going to. He's not a guy that's on the field all the time. They like having all three linebackers on the field, but they play with two linebackers, and he's the third one. Versatility both inside and outside of linebacker. Currently is the number 3, like I said, and he plays. That alpha ball linebacker. Indiana is at its best when he's on the field, though. And so I just want to see him take over the Aiden Fisher position that he's being shadowed by right now. Next up is Kyle Lewis, that new school linebacker, more of a space eater, good in coverage, open field tackler, plus lacks size and power. but I think there's definitely a place in the NFL for him. He's kind of that Sam linebacker nickel, big nickel that you like to see. Shows off his coverage skills. Not going to be great at taking on blocks, but very capable of slipping them, finding the space and stuff like that. So I think that he has a place in the NFL. Next up is Aiden Fisher out of Indiana, completely overlooked right now. Overlooked coming into the season. This is just a football player, intelligent, always around the football, leader, just a guy that makes your team better. He is a Mike linebacker that has a low missed tackle rate, and is going to be a high IQ leader on this team, at the next level. I think he could be a captain. So I'm actually pretty high on oh geez guys, sorry, Aiden Fisher. Aiden Fisher, as you can see in the picture. I'm getting there. I think he is a safe player that brings his team up, if that makes sense. I don't think he has a huge ceiling, but I think he makes the guys around him better. And I would rather bet on him as a middle linebacker than a lot of linebackers in this class, basically. Next up is Bryce Betcher out of Oregon. I like Bryce. I did coming into the season. I think he also lacks a lot of things because he was a walk on. He does have some of those issues as a athlete and things like that. I think that the ceiling isn't really there. But as a floor player, I think a late day 3 player as a rotational linebacker is not out of the realm. He plays hard constantly, and I think he could help you on special teams and things like that. So I think he would be a good had at least even to a practice squad. Deontay Lawson out of Alabama. He's going to be one of the favorites. Physical beast, strong hands, jolts, twitchy. The athlete you want all linebackers to be, basically. At times, will bury his head. Saw a few plays I thought he should have made, but he just didn't commit to it. Stops his feet on contact, which I hate. I can't stand it. And that's why he has such a high missed tackle rate, because he doesn't run through the tackles. 16.1% at that. I just think a team will bet on him with upside, because I think he's a top 2 round player athletically. I think there's some issues, obviously, with, just has he developed, but it doesn't really matter sometimes to teams when they were like, well, we'll help develop him. Look how athletic he is. Next up is Jake Golday. I don't know what to do with him. I really like him. He's 6'4". He's played 30% of his snaps in the slot. I think the versatility makes me like him that much more. I don't know I don't know what to do with him, because I don't know how high to put him on the big board, because I think he's between 30 and 60. And that's a really big range. Uber athletic, all the things he can do, 78.5 coverage grade, 89.2 run grade, 8.4 missed tackle rate. Like, he's got it all. He's basically like the Walmart version of Sonny Styles in this class. And so I think that that's pretty cool. Sonny Styles is the next guy we're going to talk about, of course. So I really like him, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with him, basically. I want to see more games. Sonny Styles, the dark horse, one of the best linebackers in football, moving from safety to linebackers, of course, giving him that athletic edge. He's a large man and explodes into the box. He might be 6'6". It's crazy. He can play in space. He can play in the box. He has a 0.0% missed tackle rate. He was our dark horse. Look, he's one of my favorite players. He's going to be a top 10 player, in my opinion. Top 12 on the big board, minimum. Ohio State is better than last year, and he's one of the biggest reasons for that. He's just improved so much, even from last year when I loved him. Next up is Trey Moore. Trey Moore should play edge. He's a hybrid outside linebacker type. Played edge in 2024. Is now an off-ball linebacker 50% of the time. Personally, I really love his upside. I think that you could get him on day 3, and you could be very happy with a guy like this, because he's going to play his butt off. He's probably going to fit only certain schemes, so he's not going to be a natural player in a 4-3. But I really like what he offers as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Oh, man. Okay. Stock up candidate is Jacob Rodriguez. Look, Jacob Rodriguez is the best linebacker in football right now, if you're just talking about what he's been able to do. So I would expect, Jacob Rodriguez to get the Butkus Award, go for the Heisman and things like that. That does not mean that he is the best prospect ever. He has done some incredible things, though. He is a little bit older, but 95.4 run grade, 93.3 pass coverage grade, 9.1 tackles per game, just all over the place. He has a little bit high missed tackle rate. I'm actually kind of surprised by the number, but whatever. 9.5 tackles for loss. I think he just plays he plays so, how do I put this? Like, intelligently, constantly knows what's coming, read and react. It's like, oh, this is the play. sees it and then goes. And I love to see that. That's always great. He's a very smooth athlete. He's played quarterback, safety. He played everything. He played quarterback this last week and scored a touchdown, actually. So I really like him. Does have issues taking on blocks at times due to the frame, but he does a really good job playing half the man, too. So, like, this is a guy that reminds me of Carson Schwestinger, who I was higher on than almost everyone. I don't think he's that good as Carson was, in my opinion, as a read and react player. And I don't think he's that athletic, but I think he does so many good things. And he will probably play, 2 contracts or 3 contracts in the NFL because he just has such a natural ability to find the football. And that's the most important thing, at the end of the day. And he's a good athlete, so he's going to be under special teams and things like that. So this is a guy I like a lot. He's the first overall rated PFF grade linebacker at 93.2. Just a real good football player. All right, so cornerbacks. Cornerbacks, we're going to start off with, AJ Harris out of Penn State. I really like AJ Harris. I know that, he's down year and he's got terrible ball skills. Like, sure, I get it. He's got 2 touchdowns on him, 0 interceptions. He dropped an interception. He has no forced incompletions. And he only has 19 total targets targeted at him. So there's a couple questions there. He's just so physically gifted. He looks like that press man corner that you just have always wanted in your life. One of the most tools-driven prospects I have seen. Now, at corner, it's a little bit different than edge with production. I think at corner, you want to see stickiness and things like that. You don't necessarily need to see interceptions for me to be like, oh, that's a good corner. I think he has great versatility too, though. He plays the nickel. He actually he had his pick last year in the nickel. I just wish he had better ball protection, of course. Think these areas are, so big an improvement that he should go back to school, possibly. If he comes out this year, I think he's a day 2 prospect. I think if he goes back to school, he's going to be making a case for early first rounder. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. I really liked AJ Harris coming into the year, though. So maybe I'm a little less. Avion Terrell out of Clemson. A lot of protection goes into his eval. Projection goes into his eval because I think he could be drafted to be a nickel main, which is hard to justify for most coaches right now, taking them that early. Jahdae Barron was the one that came to mind last year. If he does, if you do think he can do that, he has the agility to play the nickel. He's a stinging athlete with good tackling, oily hips, really fluid mover. I'm not sure he can play press man outside cornerback. So most of the off ball zone or off ball man would be my best for him. We'll want to play him mostly in zone coverage though, so he can use his eyes and like get after it, because he does a really good job of that, finding the ball, being comfortable in zone and stuff like that. I like Terrell, but I just don't see the wow factor that some of the other people have. I think he's a safe pick. Not going to be. I just don't know if I ever think he's going to be your cornerback 1. And if you're going to be drafted in the first round, you need that to be your cornerback 1. I think he's probably a cornerback 2 or 3 on a team. That's my biggest issue with him. And so that's going to reflect in our rankings of everybody. Next up is going to be Brandon Siss out of South Carolina. Huge riser. I've actually just recently watched him because I had no idea who he was. That doesn't change. That's also because South Carolina is not that great. But I do notice that he gets beat when he gets really good competition. Casey Concepcion gave him a ton of issues, and I think Casey is a top 15 to 20 player. And so he got, had some issues against him. I think he's prime candidate to go back to school to get that like bump as a first rounder. I know that, South Carolina's Shane Beamer's out and things like that. If Shane Beamer's out, I guess, I don't know. This whole weird coaching carousel thing that's going on in college football is crazy. But I think he could leave, or he could go back and just continue being really good at South Carolina. But right now, he seems like a midday 2 guy to me. I just don't think he has the elite athleticism that some people think he does. So I think that's my biggest problem. Next up is Colton Hood. Huge opportunity to step up with Jermod McCoy out. Did not disappoint. Redshirt sophomore. Could decide to go back to school. I think it would be really good for him if he went back to school and fought for the cornerback 1 spot with Leonard Moore. Very versatile player, comfortable in press and zone. Good when the ball's in the air. 48 targets, 9 incompletions forced, and 1 interception, so 10. About 20% there. Willing tackler, a lot of effort. Looks bigger on tape than measurables. He's only 6 foot 195. I think he looks bigger than that. Think long speed could be an issue. Has good feet and quickness to stay in front. Can get run by at times though, because he's just not. I don't think he's I don't think he's long like fast. I think he's more of a quick player. So that could be an issue is the long speed. I like Hood though, and probably a fringe first rounder in my opinion, but I think he's good. Here we go, guys. D'Angelo Pons, fun guy. Size could be an issue. 5'9", 173. Maybe he plays nickel. We don't know yet. But he's never played nickel. He's always played outside zone. Corner. My goodness. Always played outside corner. One of the most natural corners in the class, especially in zone. Just very comfortable covering space. He's a gamer. He is the gamer of the corner position for sure. We'll go against any wide receiver and go try to take them out. Quicker than fast. Like I said, another nickel possibility. Willing tackler at his size, which is awesome. Doesn't make mistakes. Good eyes, good feet, consistent. Okay, I think this guy is a guy that plays outside of his limitations. Like he plays above those limitations. And if you look at the Rams, the defense, they are all guys that you're like, yeah, they weren't high draft picks. They're not super athletic. They're not this. They're not that. Well, look at what they can do outside of their limitations. So I think that he might be a guy that'd be a perfect candidate to go play for the Rams because he just plays above those limitations. Next up is Jalen Kilgore. He is going to be a corner on here. He's more of a nickel corner, of course, because I don't even think he plays outside corner. He plays safety a little bit, plays outside corner, maybe like 20 reps this whole year. But he's a big nickel. 6'1", 210. He comes with a ton of athleticism. He was our dark horse. And nickel is becoming such an important position in football. I think that, you find a guy like this, you have insane upside with this guy. Physically gifted, kind of good chess piece. He can play a lot of positions. He can do a lot of things. Kilgore is the kind of player that is all over big boards, and he may end up in the top 50 for us. At least top 100. There's no problem in that. I know he will be. He needs to improve his ball skills overall. He has 2 dropped interceptions. Jamal McCoy. Yeah, if Jamal McCoy's physicals come back, he is the number 1 corner in this class. He played 31% man last year. He tore his ACL at the end of last season, and he might play in the next couple weeks, so we'll see. Played a lot of man versus Alabama, and he played it really well. Multiple breakups and interception they returned. Really good eyes. If he was healthy, I think it'd be like a sure lock top 10 player. And he reminds me of like how Will Johnson got injured and then, he drops to 40 and now Will Johnson's the best rookie cornerback this year. If he was healthy, I don't think there would be any problem thinking he's a top 10 player. I think he'd also go back to school though, because of the injury and just kind of wanting to, play his last season in college football. He didn't, kind of got that taken away from him. Next up is Keith Abney out of Arizona State. Currently extremely underrated. Will end up being a day 2 and even possibly first round guy. He has to be considered one of the biggest risers. Such a smooth player in and out of breaks, fluid hips, extremely good in man coverage, very tight. He doesn't really bite on anything either. That's always a nice thing. He doesn't bite on double moves and stuff like that. Issues are overall length. Arms are short, not super tall guy. I think he could also be a nickel have that nickel versatility because he is a good tackler and things like that. I think he's just a stingy player. Like, I like these types of players. Stingy, just gets after it type of player. Guy that the team will fall in love with, in my personal opinion. Whew. All right. And then Malik Muhammad. I'm sorry. I'm going to jump too early. Underweight, with not a lot of top end speed. He plays a ton of zone. I think Texas plays the most zone in football. Texas doesn't do a good job running man to man, and Malik is part of that. He's part of the reason they don't run man to man because I don't think he can do it. Much better zone player, like I said. Jumps the ball quickly, does not wait, goes. Can't get behind him because of his physical and athletic profile, and just not being asked to play man enough. There's a lot of issues in that when there's other good players in this class, in my opinion. I think some people had him top 40 to start before the season, and now he's in where he should be, where I thought he was in the top 150-ish. So, yeah. Next up, DJ McKinney. He was a dark horse. Went out of Colorado. I think he should go back to school. I think it might be a year early on him. Expected to take a jump with Dion as coach and play man style. Hasn't been as consistent as we hoped for. Colorado's not very good at football, though, so that doesn't help. Should come back to school or transfer to improve his draft stock. Would like him to gain some weight because he is a stick, if you couldn't tell. Has NFL size and length in the height and length. I'm sorry, and will be a guy I'm higher on in the community. Want to see him continue to improve though, and to do that, he should go back to school. Next up, We got the seniors. That was the only redshirt junior. That's cool. Amari Harvey out of Georgia Tech, one of those guys that just loves tackling. His tape is just full of big tackles. Has that dog in him. I love dog. He's to me he's much higher. I think you're going to get a steal on a late day 3 guy here if you do take him. And that's not how you spell his name. There's no R. Sorry. There's no second R. But he's a real stud, and I think he could play nickel at the next level, like I keep saying, because he is such a good tackler. He's going to be higher on our board than he is going to be consensus because he'll probably be a late day 3 guy. We'll probably have him as a third or fourth round grade, so he's much higher than that for us. Chandler Rivers out of Duke, just dark. He was our dark horse first off. He's just a dog. Also, he's going to play nickel most likely at the next level. Everyone brings up the size. He's 5'10", 185, maybe smaller than that even. But going to play nickel, like I said, a lot of versatility overall. Another guy that is just a physical tackler, and he has limitations, but I just want guys that like to play football, and guys that are football players, not necessarily athletes. And this guy is a football player. Next up is Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. First for PFF graded wise, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 42.4 completion rate, really good. Mostly an off ball zone cornerback. Really like his ability to ID routes quickly. I mean, he's like on the routes quick. Does playing in the Mountain West Conference hurt him? I think so. Because they're not as good this year. Can't deny he is one of the most fluid movers in the class, though. Click and close wise, he finds the ball. He is very technical. Not necessarily very athletic, but very technical as a player. So he's a good player. Dalen Everett out of Georgia, zone cornerback with athletic upside. Want to see him sink more. He kind of is slower out of his breaks because he stands too tall. It might be a flexibility issue. And I have a hard time ranking him as high as everyone else when he isn't a man corner. Kind of a hybrid, zone corner that, I think he just has some issues playing man, and he's a little grabby and things like that. So I'm not as high on him personally. Next one is Davison Igbinosun out of Ohio State. Ohio State, plays Ohio State football. Good against the run, physical, but because of the physicality, he does get, called for flags, but whatever, who cares? Yeah, no big deal, right? Terrion Arnold. But at the same time, I don't think you're taking him until the second or third round, and the physical tools are all there to take him and be excited about him if you're going to be drafting him there, because you can get a guy that could be a long-time starter later in the draft. Has more issues in coverage with grabbiness, of course. His size and frame says if he develops, right? Like, he has all the traits in the world, but he has to be, and he could become a high-level press cornerback, but he could also not be in the league in 3 years. So floor versus ceiling right here with this guy. And I think I'd probably bet on the ceiling a little bit more, which is always good. Damani Jackson at Alabama, his tackling pisses me off. Just straight up. We'll just run away from contact. He's one of the bigger cornerbacks in the class too, so it doesn't make sense. Athleticism is there, but he isn't using it successfully. When targeted, he hasn't really stopped anything. Alabama hasn't even wanted to start him. Like, he has been benched at times. So let's just say I'm kind of out on Jackson overall, but he was a 5-star. So run with that if you will. Texas also was ranked number 1, and now they're a 3-loss team. Next up is Josh Moten out of Southern Miss. One of the best under the radar names in college football. Should have transferred to a Power 4 school. Should not have followed his coach. I think it would have been really helpful for him. Was ranked first by PFF last season, and his overall stats even got better. Currently 5 interceptions and 1 touchdown given up. One of the most underrated players. Could end up being a late round gem, in my opinion. He is a man cornerback, and in the Sun Belt can basically do whatever he wants. So I'd like to see him obviously go to the Senior Bowl so that we can see him against good talent, and then maybe be a late 5th, 6th round guy that really could end up being a rotational piece on the team. Next up is Julian Neal out of Arkansas. Julian Neal is a large physical cornerback, 6'2", 208. Lends to a physical play on the field too, though. Good hands on the line, solid tackler, physically gifted. Things you can't teach physically. He dropped a couple interceptions, had some mental lapses. The eval would be pretty solid otherwise. Like, he has all the athleticism. He's done pretty well. Arkansas kind of sucks though, and their defense isn't very good. But I don't know that he's the main issue. But I do think he's probably right inside the top 100 if I had to like kind of guess. Next up is Takario Davis out of Washington, 21 targets this season, also dropped 2 interceptions, which is why are all these guys dropping the interception, man? If not, would have 4 interceptions on 21 targets is just insane. 6'4" with insane length, has to play outside corner, can't play nickel. We've been talking about a lot of nickels. This guy cannot. This is the guy that is all ceiling but no floor. If he goes into the NFL to the wrong team, he will be out of the league in 2 years. But also, he go to the right team where he doesn't have to tackle and gets to play like an Atlanta or something where you can have this type of guy out there. And he just plays man-to-man cornerback, and he does really well. So he is one of the biggest question marks in the nation, in my opinion, just because I don't know where he fits. But if he does do well and he goes to the right team, he's going to be pretty legit. Will Lee from A&M, the blanket. This is a guy that has a stock climb each game. He is a gambler. It's burnt him more than not this season, unfortunately. He has 0 interceptions and 3 touchdowns given up. But a lot of people like his physical tools and determination that just are kind of undeniable. He just flies around. If he gets hands on it's over. And he really just kind of beats up guys at the line of scrimmage. I'd be maybe the only person that feels this way, honestly, but I just feel like he could be a nickel because I think he has issues with straight line speed, but he is really quick, and when he hits you with his hands and like it makes you really uncomfortable, and I think he can play tight and sticky at the line of scrimmage. So maybe it's just me, but I think he could be a nickel at the end of the day. Next up is Xavier Scott. I loved by some big names in the community for sure. Issues, he hasn't played since week 3. He's going to be a tough eval overall because of that. Like, you're going to take a lot of his stuff from last year. You're going to hope he plays at the Senior Bowl. But I think he's a stingy player, plays physically. Only gave up a 28.6 completion rate in the 3 games he did play. But the only real team they played was Duke. So at the same time, it's just a really hard eval. And I'm probably lower on him overall coming into the season, so maybe I'll just kind of stay in that range. Whew. All right. Cornerback stock up highlights. It's got to be Mansour Delane, right, guys? Like, he's been the best possible cornerback in the class since day one at LSU. He had some issues at Vautech. I liked him, but I didn't know what to do with him. Well, look at that. He just had to come back to school and go to a different school, and shoot, LSU was the perfect place. In 2025, you should not target this guy. Going into the 2024 season, I thought, I like the traits and stuff, but 2025, do not target this guy. Been the best cornerback in college football. Ryan Williams, Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver, just in the last 2 weeks, now those were the ones that kind of gave him the hardest time. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, he's a really good football player. I don't know that I think he's the same upside as some people. Some people have him top 10. I think, we need to pump the brakes. This is not a very good class, and I get it. And we want to find guys that are diamonds in the rough. And this guy's been really good in man coverage. But at the same time, I don't know that he should be this high, if that makes sense. This is a stock up video, but I also think that, even they're stocking him up even higher than I would. But if you look at the stats, 129 total yards against, zero interceptions. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 37.9 passer rating. He's not Will Johnson or Travis Hunter, but he's really solid, and he's a first round talent. He just happens to be a little bit farther down that first round than I would put him, than where he's being put versus where I would put him. But I really like the player overall. I liked him coming into the season. I'm glad he went to LSU and things like that. He is a very sticky man-to-man corner. I mean, he is really good at man-to-man, and that's what the NFL's made on. So let's go over to the safety position. Let's start off with Bray Hubbard. He's a bigger safety. Going to play closer to the line of scrimmage, plays as a linebacker when defenses expect when we expect a run play. When I watch Alabama, I constantly think the guy finds the ball. Like I not even just watching the film, but just watching Alabama on TV, he finds the ball. Good against tight ends, good blocker. Good tackler in space on running backs, except for, I guess, Bo Prabula, because Bo Prabula wants to make him look silly. Thought he would have made a bigger jump on boards I think he was probably in the 250s range, and a lot of people I thought would have had him like right after the early fourth, and I just don't think that that's really happening. So maybe I'm just higher on him in general. Not really scheme versatile, which is kind of hard because he's mostly a box player. Probably situational, big nickel or a Sam linebacker. I see the talent on film, but trying to figure out what his role is might be the hardest part for me because I don't know how he translates. But I think as a football player, I want a guy like Bray Hubbard on my team, and I guess that's why I want him in the 4th or 5th round. Next up is Caleb Downs. This is the best safety in the game. He's just an absolute stud. I said this, and I'm going to remind everybody, he was one of the best football players I've ever watched play football on film. Versatility, he can play it all. Deep box nickel. He's a good tackler. Shot out of a missile. I mean, he gets there before you turn your head, and he's like smoking you. Good in coverage. This is special talent that plays on a defense that has multiple first rounders. This year is going to be considered a down year. He is still the number 1 safety, and he's still fighting for the number 1 player in the class. He's possibly the best chess piece in football because he can do it all. He is just insanely good at football. From anywhere. He can rush. He can play linebacker. He can play safety. He can play cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover whatever. He cover them all. So I really like Caleb Downs. Next up is Dylan Lineman out of Oregon. Oregon asks him to do a lot. Playing either box or deep, more comfortable as a deep coverage player. Instincts and eyes are really good. He's a good tackler. He's a physical player. Takes on blockers and sheds them when it comes to slot receivers can't block this man. He's huge. More athletic and faster than expected overall. He does fly around the field. He's a rangy player, a lot of effort. His calling card is in coverage, not necessarily in the stop and the run. But just great instincts, eyes and feet, plays through the ball, like all those things in coverage that he does well. I think Lineman, could end up being a back-end first-round player. And for me personally, I think he's probably a mid-second, but if you take him in the first round, I would not be mad about it. I think he's a good football player. Okay, guys, Genesis Smith, the guy on the screen right there with the from Arizona. This is the buzz name, and I am all in on it. Absolutely all in on it. I think that this guy is a top 3 safety in this class. Just all of the athleticism types that you could ever want. The strength, the speed, the change of direction, the size. He's 6'2", 205. He's got a great motor. He's always around the ball. Always. He's just an absolute stud of a football player. He's one of the most fun players to watch. Like, I loved watching his film. It's awesome. Y'all should go watch it. Honestly, it's so much fun to watch. He can do things that other players cannot because of his athletic ability. He's a top 50 player in my opinion. I think he should go back to school and improve on his eye discipline, his patience, his missed tackle rate, 22.2%, because that will always be a problem in my eyes because he just moves so fast he misses tackles. Just become a more complete football player and not just an athlete and go back to school, and this guy will be the safety to get next year. So that's my thoughts on him. I really like him. Next up, you have our little junior out of Florida State. Watching Florida State as a fan, I normally, I look at them in a different glass. I'm really hard on them. What I've seen of this guy misses too many tackles. He can take bad angles, tries to deliver big hits. Now rewatching, while not just watching the games and being annoyed because we suck and we're 5-5 or whatever we are. He's really athletic. Think he could end up being a nickel at the next level. I mean, dependent on tackling. Lower than I thought at a 14.7% missed tackle rate. So it's always better or worse depending, if you think it's really good, it's going to be worse. If you think it's really bad, it's going to be better. Quicker than fast. Really like his pursuit to the football. Don't think he is going to be a high safety, probably a box player because I think he lacks some I think he lacks some decision making first off in angles, but then also I don't think he's that big. And mentally, there's some lapses there for sure. And I don't think you want a deep safety to have mental lapses because then touchdowns. Okay. Next up is Kamari Ramsey out of USC, mostly a nickel defender. Disclaimer, I wasn't a huge fan of him during the offseason. Solid athlete, solid hips, quick change of direction guy. I think his calling card is versatility. I think he can basically play anywhere. Don't think he has a home though, which is hard for me to get behind because I think you need a home. But neither here nor there. I have issues with the fact that he doesn't make a ton of plays. He only has 27 total tackles and 2 pass breakups as of last week. I didn't add this week's in 9 games. I like players that are always around the ball. He's currently got a 3.3 missed tackle rate. And I watched the Notre Dame game, guys. And I think that's an incorrect stat right now. I think they need to update that. I'm just not nearly as impressed with him as a player as some people are. And so he's not going to be as high on our boards. But I think, he's going to be pushing for that top 100 for us. He's probably top 60 for most people. Next up is Keon Sabb, one of the deep safety prospects in the class. There's just not very many in this class. Actually, they're really hard to find in general. Comfortable and capable in space. Really like his speed and size combination. Currently giving up a 11.6 passer rating with 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. Really good tackler. Harder with what he's asked to do to make tackles, if that makes sense. Like, he's not near the line of scrimmage, but he is a good tackler in space. Sabb is one of my favorite safeties, not of the big names. He does so many things at a high level that I like. He is a true safety deep guy, and most likely a top 100 player for us because I really like him. Next up, AJ Halsey. Out of LSU, a guy that jumped on the screen, rangy safety, sideline to sideline run stopper, attacks as attacks as a tackler. I keep doing that. And comes for the KO punch. Misses too many tackles because of the KO punch though. Against Ole Miss, it was like he made a play on every play for the first couple of drives. Like, I watched it and I was like, he's hitting everything. I don't love that he plays deep safety for them. I think the deep alignment is actually bad. I think he could actually play closer to the line of scrimmage, but he does diagnose plays quickly, sometimes even too quick, and he ends up in a missed assignment because he just overruns it. He just feels a little old school. Like, you don't want to run the route across the middle of the field because he's in there, if that makes sense, because he's going to hit you. And I can understand the buzzer on the guy. Just brings a leader in the back end of the defense that has athletic upside. I would expect him to be a box safety at the next level, like I said, because I don't think he has that true cover 1, cover 2 style. But I actually have him as a top 5 safety in this class because I think he's legit. And I think he's a really good football player. Next up is going to be Bishop Fitzgerald out of USC, the other USC player on this list. He is one of the biggest risers in the class. He's currently 90.0 PFF grade, is 5th, 90.1 coverage grade, and 10.2% missed tackle rate. He has been very good. Very, very good. Normally in the high roll, 5 interceptions so far, which is awesome, but he is a little bit older of a player, a lot of college football played, not a great athlete, and I think that may hold him back. I think he's probably a day 3 pick, but, day 3 picks, like a guy like this, I think could pan out because he has done so well in the back end. Whew. Next up, Michael Taft out of Texas, high IQ player, not a great athlete, but is going to be in the right place. The athleticism hard to project at the NFL level, but I really like his tackling ability. I think he does that really well. Taft is a football player, not an athlete. He's a walk-on. He didn't have the athleticism coming out of high school. That's why he didn't get a scholarship. But there are a lot of things that he does because of that and that chip on his shoulder that he plays with that make him an even better football player. Whew. Next up is going to be Zakee Wheatley, breakout season. Is it too late? Maybe, because he's a much older prospect. That is not a lie. Much older prospect. He has been one of my favorite players in all of college football this year, though. Size and build, 6'2", 202, big physical guy. Can play anywhere, but I think he should probably play in the box personally. One of the best tacklers at the safety position, and that helps, being closer to the line of scrimmage, of course. Quick trigger, doesn't give wide receivers a chance to make a move. He's hitting them as they're catching the ball. Insane effort in the run game. He gets after it, trying to make a play all the time. I think the issue resides in the fact of his age, but if you're just talking about talent, he's a top 10, possibly top 5 safety in this class, no problem. And so talent-wise, you got to give him a little bit of love. Next up, Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo. I had no idea who this guy was, I'll be honest, prior to this season. So I went and watched, and I was like, this guy's legit. This guy's legit. He looks so big on the field. Watching him play, with MAC players, I'm like, hey, like you should have played in the SEC. Like, I don't know why you're here, but you are Nick and Manwari esque, like size and everything. And if you like Nick Manwari, maybe we're a little bit lower on him, and he's been playing great, and of course shutting us up. But like, this is a guy that's very similar to that, built like an NFL player, length, strength, physicality, big time box tackler, like just stud. Number 2 safety by PFF with 92 grade, just looks different against everybody he's playing, and that becomes a concern. Is that also a bad thing? I also think he, could hinder him because he never played the higher level of talent. I also think he has bad eyes. Misdirection really screws him up, and there's some bad eyes in there. 12.5% missed tackle rate. Where he plays and he's in the box constantly, that actually has to come down a little bit for me. I think his physical skills and ability are legit, though. The Senior Bowl watch list, I don't think he can play cover 2 or cover 1, but I think there's a role in the NFL nowadays, like how they use Nick and Manwari for the Seahawks is just, that's the blueprint for this guy. And if you can get that much out of him, you're going to have a legitimate football player and an absolute problem at the safety position. So I think he has upside to be round 1, depending on how much people really like him. I think he's probably behind Nick and Manwari because of the fact that, he doesn't project against the SEC schools. But let's see what he does at the Senior Bowl against all the other guys and just see how much more physically gifted and how big he is compared to everybody. And we're all just going to be like, okay, he erases tight ends. He makes plays in the run game. This guy's legit. I think, first round is not out of the question by any means with this guy. Whew. All right. That's it. That was awesome. Oh, all right. Oh, breathe. Well, I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. All right, hanging out with me. That was a lot of football players. I don't even know how many, probably 100. And I just wanted to get all of them out there so everybody could see them. I talked really fast. And normally I run these videos at 2.0x when I watch them. And I'm promised I'm not going to be able to understand myself. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. And please give me I want y'all to add guys that I need to go watch. I've watched all these guys. So tell me who else I need to watch and make sure I, get some eyes on some of these good players, because there's a lot of good players out there in the world. And I don't watch every game. I don't watch every team. But I would like to, please tell me who y'all like. Cam's been killing it, of course, with everything. We've been really amping it up on X, our Discord. We actually, had a not optimal, but very close to optimal line in our Discord the other day. So for the Sunday night football game. So we're doing good things in there. Please go and get in there. Hang out with us on Twitter and X. We have an Instagram, Facebook, and all those things too. And they're all linked in our bio. So go check them out. We appreciate y'all though. And I will talk to y'all on the next